Welcome to the Samantha Leith podcast with me, Samantha Leith. I have a passion for exploring anything and everything that can help us to be extraordinary. Each week, I'm going to dive into a topic and explore it extensively because if there's something that makes for a better life, I want to learn about it and, more importantly, share it. And hey, you may just get the odd song thrown in. There'll be deep conversations, fun and frivolity, helpful tools for you to add to your life straight away, random musings about anything from coffee to sex, and information that may just blow your mind. This is a podcast for dreamers, believers, action takers, and achievers. It's personal development, but not as you know it. Good morning and hello, and welcome to the Samantha Leith podcast, episode number 27, where we're going to be talking about how we use busyness as a measure of our self-worth and also a little bit like an avoidance technique. Yes, as coming from the queen of procrastination myself, I will admit, yep, I think I use busyness sometimes as a bit of an avoidance or procrastination technique. So let's get into it. What exactly is busyness? Not good when I'm tripping up on the words right at the beginning. Well, if you have a look on Google and do a bit of a dictionary search, kind of get the general idea that it's something along the lines of the state or condition of having a great deal to do, okay? You know, the kind of people that have a never-ending to-do list, or as I've previously said myself and also to some of my clients, well, is it a to-do list or is it more of a to-don't list? I'd like to challenge us all on that one for another time. Actually, ask yourself that question. Do you have a to-do list or a to-don't list? So I have suffered, or maybe suffered's not the right term. I've definitely fallen into this world of thinking that the busier I was, the more important I was, the better person I was, the more meaningful my life was, the significant. I tied a lot of significance to being busy. You know, if I was the kind of person that had boundaries out the woohoo and would work when I needed to work or answer a phone call when I needed to work because it made me busier and I've got so much to do. And I wasn't very good at having nothing to do because somewhere along the lines, whether it was a conversation in my childhood or something I'd read or something I'd observed, I kind of equated free space or free time or nothing to do as laziness or as, well, I'm obviously not very important because even if I've got like nothing social to do that day, then I'm not rushing from there to there. And oh my gosh, that means I'm less than. Okay. And I used to take great pride in having this crazy, ridiculous schedule, you know, I'd have, 3 events on in one night, plus working during the day and this and that and this and that. And I thought it meant, hi, I'm Samantha Leith. I am so busy. I'm just fantastic. And no, it meant I was being an absolute douchebag to myself and other people and not doing the right thing by myself or other people or people I was working for or gigs I had or any of those things, because I was just in this whirlwind of thinking I was nothing unless I did all this stuff. And it just led, at various times in my life, I've done this, and I've been going through a little bit of a patch of that on and off this year for various reasons, some of which led me to think about this actually, because for those of you who don't know, at the moment, there's a lot going on in my life. Disabled dog, work, blah, blah, daughter about to go into her HSC, so there's a lot of study time. End of financial year, like lots of stuff. And I found myself again going, okay, look at my day. I've got these 438 things I've got to get done. When am I going to get them fit in lunch? And oh my God, I'm definitely not going to have some time to exercise because they need me and they need me and they need me and they need me. And I get to the end of the day in the last couple of weeks and I'm burnt out for one, and not achieved all, or sometimes even any of the things that I wanted to get done, and feel terrible, like terrible. Okay. So this isn't a new thing for me or for anyone else. Society does place people that do a lot of things on a bit of a pedestal. You know, we've all heard I don't know how she does it all, or, you know, the 5 morning hacks of the 10 richest people in the world and how they get everything done. And we need to, in order to free up more time and space to get more done, and I'm using inverted commas if there isn't, like, you know, air quotes, if you could see this on video, how can we change things in our life so we don't need to think about what we're wearing or what we're eating, etc., in order to then be able to get more done? And oh my gosh, if you are the founder of X, Y, or Z company, how to learn how to only have 4 hours sleep so you can get more done. Okay. Now, a study in 2016, got a little note here, by the University of Maryland, showed that people that were perceived as being busier were often seen as having a higher status. Okay. Now, we literally put them on a pedestal. We go, oh, you're so clever, you do so much. And down to, okay, I'm not a royalist, nor do I think we necessarily need to rush Australia. Like, I'm not a monarchist, rather, nor do I think we need to rush Australia down the path of not having the royal family as part of our world, because that ironically, that would take a lot of work and a lot of money. I think we've got more important things to do in Australia than becoming a republic at the moment. But this isn't a political debate. How often have we seen quotes about or stories about the busiest working royal, or, you know, Princess Anne does something like 3.4 events a day and has done for her working life. I'm just making up that figure, but, you know, the Queen was working right up until the day before she died, etc. Those people, now they're not making dinner and doing all the other things that, you know, most of us mere mortals need to do. But even then, we're going, look at all these things that they can do. They must be really important. They're not. Okay, they are to some people, but yeah, the busyness that anybody does doesn't make them better than or worse than other people, and it doesn't make them more important. And one of the reasons I think, and I know for myself, that I fall into this trap sometimes is, I don't want to fail. I've got this fear of failure. I've got a fear of rejection. Almost, I think sometimes the fear of success comes to play in it as well, because the busier you are, if you're running around like a rat on a treadmill in a cage, you're not necessarily getting a lot done. So you're not going to be successful. It's actually harder, I think, to be successful when we're doing life this way. But it also gives us this kind of illusion, and it is an illusion of control over our lives, or control over what we're getting done. So it's like we kind of feel powerful, I think, when we're actually doing it. And the crazy thing is, a lot of the time when we're living in this busyness world, our boundaries are out of whack, and it's not actually us with the control at all. We're at the mercy of all those things we need to get done for other people. Or I've got to make this person for a drink, and then this person for dinner, and then, I've still got to make the 15 cakes to take to the school thing tomorrow. And so we're actually not in control. Okay. And it also, and I think this is such a big one for me. You've probably all heard the term buffering, or how we numb ourselves. I prefer the term doing things to numb myself rather than buffering. But how we'll do things to stop ourselves feeling something. So we'll eat something to stop feeling sad, or we'll watch porn to stop feeling lonely, or we'll shop to stop feeling stressed about our life, or any of those kind of, and we've all done it at some point. And I'm just going to say to you, honey, if you're listening to this and saying, no, Samantha, I've never done that in my life, you is lying. You will have done it at some point in your life. I pinky promise you. And I think being busy is just another form of this numbing. It's an avoidance mechanism. We do it so we can stop ourselves, because we quite literally don't have the time, or we think we don't have the time to think about some personal issues that are going on, or financial issues that are going on, or insecurities, or stop us just having the space to think, basically. So I want to ask you this question, and I'm going to start doing this in some of the podcasts that I do, is kind of sprinkling in some self-reflection questions as we go. So I asked myself this question in my journaling this morning, and I'll tell you what my answer was in a second. But the question is, what am I avoiding by staying busy? What am I avoiding by staying busy? Now, my answer was, I'm avoiding launching. By filling my life with all the stuff that I've got going on, I'm avoiding doing the one thing that I know at the moment would be a bigger game changer in my life. There's gold, them there, and those nuggets, people. So what are you avoiding by staying busy? Now, I was listening to a Rebecca Minkoff podcast the other day, and I've just had a mental blank as to what the podcast is called. Superwoman, maybe? Oh, oops. Should have written that down. Anyway, it was an interview with a woman called the Job Doctor, a lady called Tessa White. And she's, if you don't know her and you're in the corporate space or you're working at all for other people, check her out, the Job Doctor, Tessa White. She's on TikTok and all the places. She's had this incredible growth on TikTok in the last few years, like some things with like 1 million views and things like that. And she helps people deal with, she was in HR for a long time, helps people deal with stuff in the workplace. Anyway, totally beside the point, but I like interesting people and I think you should check it out. And she said this quote, and she said it has always stuck with her and like it really, really helped her in life. But she couldn't remember who told her or who to attribute it to. And I had a Google and I couldn't find who to attribute it to either, but I'm going to tell you it. So I'll start again, Samantha Mary. When who you is what you do, then when you don't, you ain't. Ba-bong. Yes. Tying who you are to what you do, when you stop doing it, you're not that person anymore. Now, a close one I could find was a quote by Wayne Dyer, which is, if you are what you do, then when you don't, you aren't. Better English, I've got a better English and better grammar, but we get the point. Like when we're busy and we tag everything we are onto that busyness, when we stop being busy, it's like, who the are we? Like, oh, I'm just Sam, mere mortal, who only has one thing in her diary today. The shock, the horror. Oh my gosh, maybe I could actually finish that book I wanted to read. Maybe I could do nothing. Maybe I could think about the things I want to do. Doesn't mean I'm less than who I was the day before when I was really busy. Now, this crazy busyness, there's so many negative effects on our lives, people, so many negative effects. It's really discombobulating for some reason, for all the reasons. Love that word, discombobulating. And it's really negative, like so negative. I actually can't think of that many positives for being it. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are certain times in our lives and certain times in our year when things are going on and you have to be busy, and you may have your entire day scheduled in 15-minute increments and have a lot to do. But it's unsustainable. And those little moments when you have to do that, absolutely fine, not a problem. What I'm talking about is when we create our lives in this crazed busyness to make us feel good or avoid something or feel that we're more than. That's what I'm talking about, being in the negative sense, okay? So don't think I'm telling you never to have a busy day in your life. Chronic busyness that I'm talking about, it increases our stress levels. It disconnects us from ourselves. We're not thinking properly. We're not, our system is totally dysregulated. Our emotions are dysregulated. We can suffer from burnout. We have absolute physical symptoms of stress. You know, when we're really busy, we're more likely to not do that walk in the morning or not do that stretch before we do the run. And therefore, then we hurt ourselves, or we can just do silly things like burn ourselves on a pot because we're not thinking about what we're doing because we're rushing to the next thing. Now, my busyness, when I've had these moments, the things that happen to me really, really quickly, and it happened this year for me, is I put on weight. And I kind of go, well, that's not fair, because everybody else I know that's really busy, when they're really busy, they get really stressed and they don't eat and then they lose lots of weight. So how come I just stop there, Samantha? We're all different. We're all people. What happens for me is I take my eye off the ball of the things like my exercise first thing in the morning, which makes me feel better, which makes me then eat better during the day, not necessarily slack at things, not have 2 glasses of wine. It kind of is that runoff. So the minute I start getting stressed and into that world of busyness, my morning routine suffers. And then that's when things go pear-shaped for me. And then I go, oh, this isn't good enough, so I'm going to add back in that stair workout or that whatever in the morning. And then I go to do it like a crazed woman for the next few days and then hurt myself. And if I just stuck to it all the way through and not fallen into the busyness trap, wouldn't have happened. So that's that is definitely the big one for me. For some people, it can lead to disconnection from family. It can lead to, I had a client once who was so close to divorce because of the way they led their life in a busyness pattern. Now, there's always problems in marriages. Like, that's not going to be the primary reason. But when we could look at what they were doing in this busyness cycle and remove a couple of things and have some more time for their relationship, you know, all the other stuff they kind of talked about, they made it happen. But they were avoiding looking at what was going on in the marriage by being busy, which was then making it all fall apart a lot quicker. Okay. Now, for some people, myself included, our values play a really, really important part of our life. And by looking at your values, you can get a really good indication of why you are being busy in some ways. So it can be a bit of like a clue. So say one of your top 5 values is your job satisfaction, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like career projection, so your career. And so you start getting busier and busier and busier because you think, okay, if they notice me in the workplace, I'm going to get that raise, I'm going to get that promotion, and so you put those 2 things together. Likewise, if one of your highest values is money, you might start being in a really busy cycle and not be able to get out of it because you're chasing the dollar, chasing the dollar, chasing the dollar, chasing the dollar. So you sit down and think about, how tied are they together? And can I be doing something else to make me feel in alignment with those values? Okay. So take some, just carve out 5-10 minutes whenever you can to disconnect from this busyness. And if you think you do need to live a life that is totally time dependent, which I've felt at some points in my life, and I tell you, with ADHD, I am yet to find a really good way for me to manage my time. Ironically, when I first started coaching, I talked all about systemization and business systems, and time management was a huge, huge part of that. But I was so strict and stringent in how I had led my life. And that had been a coping mechanism for me because I didn't know I had ADHD. So I'd learned how to do all these structures so my life and my time didn't fall apart. Now that I know, after it did all fall apart, I'm yet to find quite the magic mix for myself. So I just encourage you to try whatever it is out there in terms of how to set your schedule. But I really encourage you to set aside some quiet time into your day, like every day, whether you're walking without a music or podcast or something like that, or it's 10 minutes before you go to bed, whatever it is, just take some time away to disconnect and reflect. If it's your journaling time in the morning, great. If not, pick it at some other time. So how do we get out of this busyness cycle? How do we break free from busyness? Oh my gosh, I'm going to sound like a broken record. If we could pop in some more mindfulness habits into our life, it makes everything so much better. So you can have a look in my podcast. You can go onto the Samantha Lather website. There's all sorts of resources there for you about how to help you with mindfulness techniques. We've got things like breathing and journaling and meditation and a whole lot of things you can do. If you can bring in some of those into your life, it does help you break free from busyness, because we're taking that time to actually reconnect with our bodies, okay? And stop that. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes if I'm like crazy business woman, I can actually feel like under my skin a little bit like tetchy. It's like just go. It's like the Energizer Bunny is under your skin almost, okay? And no matter who you Google, you will find another study on telling you how any of these mindfulness habits can improve your anxiety, improve your stress, improve symptoms, and help you get back into who you are and what you actually need to be doing, rather than running around like a mad woman, okay? Another big way to help is better boundaries. Now, I answered a phone call from a client the other night at 10 p.m. when I was sitting doing something with my daughter. And I solved the problem, pretty much fell to pieces afterwards going, what am I doing? Because in that moment, I felt important because I was answering the phone and helping them with the problem. Then I looked at my daughter, and she understands, and I do it very rarely. But then I was like, I should be present with her. What am I doing? Like, what am I doing? My boundaries have gone out the window. So my phone is now back on do not disturb when I get back into family time or me time, okay? That is, as much as we want to talk about how phones are really bad for us, some of the things that we have available on our phones can be really helpful, okay? So the do not disturbs, the setting time for work mode, the notifications to change what you're doing, all that kind of stuff. So take some little steps to help yourself by using a device to help you, okay? One thing you can do. And another thing you can do with that, because boundaries is such a bigger part of it, is just remember that no is a full sentence, okay? Now I can get more bit deeper and ask you to think about what you're doing as in terms of it is essential, or does it align with your goal and visions and things like that. You can, yes, absolutely true, I want you to do that. But at this first point, if you can just go, no, my phone is on do not disturb, it's me time, really help, promise, okay? So what happens when we can actually give a great big warm hug and embrace a life beyond busyness? Will we go, oh my God, I don't mean anything, I'm nobody because I'm not busy? Don't laugh. I've really been scared of that at some points in my life, but it's not true. If you're not busy, you have deeper connections with people because you're not rushing to the next event. You have increased fulfillment because you're actually spending time doing the things you want to do, rather than rushing around trying to do 500 things and be a million things to 10 different people, or the other way around. You have a greater impact on the world if that's what you want to do, or a greater impact on your family, or a greater impact on yourself, okay? If we can if we can dream something and believe it, and we can take the action we need to get there, and then we can achieve it, we have a greater sense of well-being. We have a greater sense of who we are. And busyness does not help us get there, okay? Living a value-fulfilled, passion-fulfilled, goals-orientated life is what helps us get there. Don't be scared. You were born, you're on this planet, which means you are worthy, okay? End of story. It means you are enough, okay? End of story. being busy doesn't make those any better. It will just make you feel worse. So another little quick self-reflection question for you. I want to ask you, what is the one thing that brings you joy that you've been neglecting because of busyness? Just one thing that brings you joy, or the one thing that you're really passionate about and you're not doing, you've been neglecting it because of busyness. Ask yourself that question, please. Okay, so let's wind up, shall we? Busyness. It's a terrible thing we do, to run around like mad, headless chickens, just to think that we're effective and we are important to the world. Well, we are anyway, okay? We want to break free from that cycle. We want to take some time for ourselves, bring in some mindfulness techniques, open up more space in your calendar. Don't be so regimented. Pick up on your boundaries. Remember to say no, okay? So what can you do this week to help with this? As I said, grab your iPhone or your Android, whatever it is. They've all got the same kind of things. And use the tech that's available to you to help you open up some more space in your life, okay? Do the self-reflection questions. And remember, your worth, your enoughness, your value is not measured on how busy you are. There is no gold star reward for getting to the end of this thing called life and going, oh, now I can take a breather. You have missed so much magic on and along the way. Remember that it's really, really, I promise you, it's possible, and it's so rewarding to live a life where you're not doing all of this and it really is in alignment with your values, okay? So thank you for listening today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life to listen to this podcast. I really, really, really genuinely appreciate it. And I'm going to keep you up to date on the socials. Follow me at Samantha Leith everywhere about how I'm going with my busyness, because I wanted to talk about this today because I've been falling back into it and I don't want to. It's not good for me. It's not good for me or my daughter or my business or my friends or my family. It's gotta stop that. Gotta stop it. So I'm working on it, and I really encourage you to do the same. And let me know how you're going, okay? Shoot me a message, tell me how you're going, and let's break free of this busyness cycle, because, as you know, the ad says, you're worth it. We're worth it. Have a great week, and I will see you soon. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Samantha Leith podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to dive deeper into the world of personal development and what's possible for you, then I'd love to invite you to join the club. It's my monthly membership designed to guide and support you with the tools and the coaching you need to be extraordinary. Head on over to samanthaleith.com/the club for more information. I'd love to see you on the inside.